All right, let's move to the next one. Let's move to the gas station bowl. Nope, that's the Valero Alamo Bowl in Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas, even the gas stations, apparently. All right, this is Texas, which is a 4-point favorite against the Washington Huskies out of the Pac 12. This game is set for a kickoff at 9 p.m. Late kickoff in this game. Michael Penix Jr. versus Quinn Ewers. Fresh, this is one thing that I was really kind of perturbed about over the course of this year. Just because he plays in Washington, no one really gave any love to Michael Penix Jr., what he did this year. You know, we talked about last year what he went to. He came back from that injury. The dude had over 4,000 yards this year and 29 touchdowns. If he plays anywhere else, people are going to be raving about him, falling all over themselves about Michael Penix Jr. What a comeback story he was from that injury in Indiana. Quinn Ewers. Let's talk him for a second. Reclassifies himself. Goes to Ohio State for the year. Takes the money and runs for an NIL deal. Transfers to Texas. Guess who just signed at Texas? Archie Manning. I think, and Fresh, I'm going to go a bold statement here. You ready for this one?
Always. Be irrational.
This is the last game we see Quinn Ewers playing a Texas uniform. This is the last game.
I don't think it's actually a bold statement. I think that's actually pretty. I think it's very factual.
Yeah, I really do not believe that. I believe that by the time spring practice is over, Quinn Ewers will be in the transfer portal moving on. Because, as I explained earlier, what's the one thing that Archie Manning probably has over every other high school quarterback coming in? He has his family heritage. And more importantly, 2 NFL level quarterbacks teaching the kid how to study tape. One of the big things that most high school kids don't know. Well, let's talk about this game here, Fresh. How do you see the Valero Alamo Bowl going down?
Well, I think the Alamo Bowl is always one of the most entertaining bowl games. People kind of forget about it being down there in San Antonio in Texas, and it's usually a late, 9 o'clock or 8:30 kickoff. Um, you're going to see a lot of points. You're going to see a lot of fun. One year, though, this is a sidebar. One year, I want to see Texas and Tennessee play, and the winner actually can claim truly that they are the saviors of Texas and the saviors of the Alamo Bowl, because the whole Davy Crockett, Tennessee guys volunteering to come down and fight in the Alamo Bowl. I think that would be really cool. But back to the game. You're totally spot on about Quinn Ewers and being his last game ever. This actually might impact even where he goes in the transfer portal, because right now he's already behind the 8 ball if he wants to transfer where everybody else is gone. They're starting to fill up spots left and right. I mean, JT Daniels, who, if Quinn Ewers does transfer, might become a JT Daniels like journeyman quarterback, where you're bouncing around and you're actually avoiding competition, maybe, or injuries are preventing you from being at your full aspect, or just timing. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of things going on there that he might not be the guy, and he's just running into situations. But at the bigger schools, you're going to have to compete for jobs, and that means a quarterback spot too. So if Quinn Ewers was playing lights out already in the season, we probably wouldn't be having this discussion as much. But he wasn't 35, 40 touchdowns a year, 4,000 yards passing. He was a guy. This team didn't play for a Big 12 title. He played great in the Alabama game early in the time that he was there, and he got hurt. Maybe that was the difference in that football game. But we never really saw the Quinn Ewers moment, and I think that's why it's even more present that Arch Manning is going to take that job and he's going to run with it. His uncles Peyton and Eli are already preparing up a whole Peyton's Place broadcast of going forward from the future. He's going to be loaded. He's going to be the starter, and I think Sark is actually probably tied more to Arch Manning in his entire tenure at Texas than anyone else. You bring out this guy, you outbid Tennessee, where's one of his uncles went. You outbid Ole Miss, where his grandfather and his other uncle went. You outbid Alabama. You outbid Georgia. You outbid USC and everyone else. Like your career now, Sark, is tied to Arch Manning. So Quinn Ewers, put on a show, do as best you can, and put yourself in the portal. Give your last body of work a pretty good display. Because if not, you're going to go up to somewhere else and just sort of be a retread quarterback until you go pro in a year and a half. So be very mindful, play smart, but don't play uptight because if you do, it actually might be more detrimental to your development going forward. This is a big game for him. On the other side, you talk about Michael Penix Jr. The kid has been absolutely phenomenal. I think this is not just a great quarterback play, it's the story. He was so fantastic at Indiana in 2020, almost beat Ohio State, put up a bunch of points, got injured, kind of had a falling out there in 2021 trying to recover, not getting the job, needed a fresh start, went out there. Kalen DeBoer comes from Fresno State up to Washington, and the two of them just click immediately. I don't think we really took – I think we kind of took it for granted that Washington beat Michigan State. We're like, oh, Michigan State must be terrible. There's no way Washington can beat them. And then Washington starts putting out wins, and they're not just because of defense. They're led because of Penix Jr. He's throwing around a bunch of players that nobody really heard of, and the team was so bad last year that they really didn't expect it. But he pushed this Husky team forward on his arm and his legs, and he has got this team playing at a very high level. And he's actually helped running backs like Wayne Talapala, who has been a horse during the final stretch, 779 yards rushing and 10 touchdowns, and receiver Roma Dunzier, who has 70 receptions, 1,000 yards, and 7 touchdowns. These guys were no names last year. These guys were maybe no names on the depth chart coming in at the beginning of the season. But as Penix has been there, he's made them all better. He's instilled confidence in that offense. And that purple rain, that purple haze has moved forward. When they went to Oregon, most of us thought Bo Nix and the Ducks would find a way to get a win. They were going to churn themselves toward Pac-12 championship appearance and sort of see what they could do from there. We really thought it'd be a fun game, but there's not really a chance that Washington could win. Not only did Washington win, they won by almost double digits, and they put themselves in a great spot. Like Penix Jr.'s done it all himself, and he's done it with a bunch of guys who aren't getting the national attention. And I think that's a credit to him and his work ethic. It's a credit to Kellen DeBoer, the head coach, and it's a credit to the entire program of all stepping up to a different level. I have not seen that same growth and camaraderie and elevated levels from Texas. They had Xavier Worthy. We had him as a first-team All-Year National Conference player. Bijan Robinson, yeah, great season, but he could have been a Heisman candidate, but never did that. Never had the Heisman moment. The team didn't win enough games. He wasn't really there. He's gone. He's going to the NFL draft. And Ewers, you and Hudson Card came in when you were hurt, but you never had that game where, my God, did Quinn Ewers just throw 500 yards and 4 touchdowns? That didn't happen. You lost. You had a chance for TCU to have a moment, and you blew it. Your offense didn't show up. I just don't have much faith right now in Sarkisian. I don't have much faith in Ewers. You let me down. I picked you guys to be the dark horse to win the Big 12. The offense never showed up. The defense played actually much better than usual, but the offense, which is supposed to be the powerhouse, never showed up. And I just don't have faith that you're going to show up in this football game with nothing really in your mind to play for. You had a top 5 recruiting class. Those guys are going to take a bunch of these guys' jobs. I think the Huskies are much more hungry. They want this game. They have a chance of beating Texas. And they have a chance of really showing that there's not just Oregon, not just Utah, not just USC, not just UCLA in the Pac-12. There's Washington too, and they're back. So I think the Huskies are actually to go into Texas, and they are going to beat the Longhorns. Horns down, Huskies win 31-27.
So, Fresh, here's the craziest thing I thought about for this year. Like, we sat there all year long talking about how great of an offense Tennessee was, how great of an offense Ohio State was, how great of an offense USC was, how great Alabama's offense was, Georgia's offense, TCU's offense. Washington's 10-2. They lost, the 2 games that they lost was by combined 15 points. So this is not your average team. They have the 4th best scoring offense in the country, only behind Tennessee, Ohio State, and USC. They have the 2nd most yardage per game behind only Tennessee. And they're the number 1 pass offense in the country this year. They're number 1 passing offense in the country. What in the world were people doing? Like, why is everyone sleeping on this Huskies team? Is it because they played up in Washington? Is it because it was Pac-12 after dark games? Is it because, I don't know, somebody in the athletic department pissed off someone at ESPN for Washington? I don't know. But we should have given more love to Washington. We should have put a lot more respect on the Huskies' name this year. Penix Jr.'s been absolutely incredible this season. I mean, The dudes throw for well over 4,000 yards, which was just unbelievable. They have a two-headed monster with the rushing attack you talked about. Are they able to, you look, they've picked up 1,700 yards on the ground, so they're not just this, air raid offense. We're going to throw it around for a bunch of yards. And even, like I said, Penix Jr., we're not talking about Tommy Chung, the second coming. We're not talking about Colt Brennan throwing all. You forgot about a little bit Cameron Davis, averaging almost 5 yards carry, 13 touchdowns on him. He's kind of like the grinder where you have Will Talatupapa. I can't even pronounce his last name, like you said, but he's kind of the speed back, it looks like a little bit. Those two guys make a nice little 1-2 punch, but I'm with you on this. I really think Texas is better bring their A game. Bijan Robinson's not playing in this game. Hudson Carr already in the transfer portal. So if Ewers gets hurt in this game or has to come out, like, he better be playing to save his job. Like, he better be coming out here to throw the ball all over the field, because here's the thing. He reminds me a lot of Spencer Rattler. He's reminding me a lot of Spencer Rattler. He's going to have to go to a program like South Carolina, still playing the SEC, but is going to need to pull off some big-time upsets. It's not going to be there. I don't know. I got Washington winning this game. I got Washington on. I would be willing to take Washington on the money line on this one. I'm with you here. I think that people are not respecting Washington at all, and it's going to be horns down on this one.
Well, I think it's a great point you bring up the Spencer Rattler. So when I use JT Daniels, now JT was injured at USC and kind of didn't want to compete, or maybe lost his job after that first one, then had some situations at Georgia and Stetson Bennett beat him out. And then this year struggled at West Virginia at times and didn't want to compete and lost his job. And now he's at Rice. So those are kind of like a combination of maybe some injuries that are just put you in a bad spot, but then also the competition maybe not being the best quarterback on the roster. Quinn Ewers at Ohio State, I mean, he was not better than CJ Stroud. Let's just put it that way. Coming to Texas, this is supposed to be your job, but when Card played, I didn't see a difference in either of them playing. Like, there was no that this guy's definitely better than the other, and especially on a team scale, but even a national scale. Like, there was no, wow, that guy's fantastic. I've got to make Texas instant game watch TV. Like, that never happened to me to watch him play. Now with Arch coming, I think the name is going to scare him, and he's going to run like that.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, then. But it's interesting, though, because we just had early signing day, and all these people are like, "Oh, we got the number 1 class, or number 3 class, or number 5 class, or wherever your class falls in at." And I point, I go, look at Quinn Ewers, look at Texas A&M. Like, it's great, yeah. You want talented kids coming out of high school, but they're still high school kids. It's difficult to see where they're going to translate from 18 years old to 20 years old, 21 years old, and where they're able to perform. So it's going to be a game that's definitely going to be fun to watch, though. All right, Fresh,